Now, you cleared up some rumors last year about there were these rumors going around that you did porn. You obviously did not do porn. You acted in some sex scenes topless. Do you still regret doing those films and those scenes? And if you could do it all over again, would you still take those roles?
I don't regret it because I had worked my ass off in acting class, and I was taking from Ivana Chubbuck. She had gotten Halle Berry, helped Halle Berry, trained her for Monsters Ball, which, you know, you look at Monsters Ball, the love scenes in that, I swear she and Billy Bob really look like they're going at it. You know, I mean, talk about porn. That looked real to me. So I was really, I mean, seriously, and much more provocative than what I did on Cinemax. And being a free spirit back then, I was a lingerie and swimsuit model. Modeling. I was naked all the time. It didn't bother me to be nude, and most of the actresses that I admire have done tons of nude scenes. So no, I don't regret it. It's part of my journey.
Now, another thing, you were sexually abused as a teenager. Can you tell us exactly what happened to you and who abused you?
Yes. Going back to being 16 years old, I was, after a football game on a Friday night, I had gone to a party. You know, back then it was wine coolers, and I had a curfew, and my girlfriends didn't want to leave the party. So a guy that I knew, I didn't know him well, but I did know him, he offered to take me home. And we got in the car, and he quickly averted off into some back roads, locked me in the car, and raped me, and proceeded to take me home. By Monday morning, I got to school, and everyone in school was coming up to me, all my friends, basically saying this guy was going around bragging that he had, you know, effed me, like really harsh. When you're 16 and you have people coming up to you in the hallways of school calling you a slut and, you know, can't believe you effed so-and-so, and I literally, the first panic attack, and I didn't know that I was having a panic attack. I didn't know what was happening to my body. Went to the nurse's office, hyperventilating, crying, called my mom, and I said, Mother, you have got to take me out of the school. Don't ask me any questions. And a few days later, she went and enrolled me into the other high school in our area. And I never spoke of it until I was 31 years old.
Now, I mean, how does this, you're leaving a party, you're driving away, and now you start to realize that you're not going, you know, to your house, like you're going to like a secluded, I mean, what is this scene like? Are you screaming? Are you fighting? And then when he's done raping you, I mean, is it just like a quiet ride back to your house? I mean,
it was almost like an out-of-body experience because, like I said, I knew this guy. He was a football player, so he was much bigger than me. I don't even remember the act of it. I remember my panties coming off, but he reached over and locked, you know, because we're talking, this is in the late 80s. He reached over me and locked the door, so it wasn't like even electric locks. It was like he locked the door. And it's funny, it's kind of close to where my parents live now, so every time I go home and visit my parents, I drive by this part off the I-10 freeway. And I don't do it every single time because it was so long ago, but every once in a while we'll be driving and I'm like, there's the spot, you know, off that freeway. It's so crazy. And he locked the door and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And I started freaking out and he just got on top. He's just too big. You know, he's just too big. He's a football player. Yeah, and then quietly going home and then thinking that it's your fault because you knew him. And I'm more afraid of my dad and missing curfew. So, hey, yeah, you want to give me a ride home? Sure, thank you, because I don't want to get in trouble. So.
Did this happen in the passenger seat? Like it just, I mean.
Yeah. Yep. He locked me in. And, you know, moved the seat back, you know, back then obviously too, that it wasn't an electric seat. So he like locked it and then grabbed down where you recline the seat back. And then, yeah, I just remember being like almost, when you think of, say he was 200 pounds, you know, for a senior, maybe even 215, 220, you know, I don't even remember feeling like I could move my arms. And then, yeah, he opened the door. I kind of rolled out, kind of freaking out in the middle of this, you know, horrible area. I mean, it's like, you know, the armpit of Houston. And, like, what the hell do I do? Do I run? No, because I'm like literally in the middle of nowhere, So yeah, I had to get back in the car with him and let him take me home.
Does he like apologize? I mean, is it just dead silent, or I mean, it seems so awkward.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know. And I haven't publicly. He actually reached out to me on Facebook. Once Facebook started, which is so bizarre, and I literally didn't reply back. I'm thinking when I saw that name pop up, I thought, holy oh my gosh, like how could he even reach out to me? And I don't even like the term date rape. When you know the person and all that. Rape is rape. You know what I mean? Like, sexual assault is sexual assault. There's no adding on to, make it better or whatever. In his mind, I don't even know if this guy comprehends what he did, Never an apology, never an acknowledgement, but he did try to friend me on Facebook.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we had Carrie Duber on the show last week. And she told us exclusively that they're filming season 2 of The Real Housewives of Dallas. Now, are you going to be on the season 2?
You will see me a little bit. I can't give out a lot because Bravo hasn't made an official announcement on the cast members for season 2. But you will see me periodically. They have added some new characters that I think are really represent a part of Dallas that you may not have gotten to see in season 1. I want the show to be a success, whether I'm on it or not. We weren't filmed originally as a housewife show. So when we filmed, it was a working title of How to Make It in Dallas, and then as we were filming, they were thinking this was going to be the first iteration of Ladies of, like Ladies of London in the UK. They were going to make us Ladies of Dallas. That's why there's so much social climbing and charity talk in season 1, because that's what Ladies of London is all about. It's all about, social status and all that. So no, we weren't named Housewives until we had already wrapped filming. I guess Stephanie was a big Housewives fan, and I don't think Brandy had ever really watched it, but Carrie and Stephanie were Housewives fans, and they were hoping it was. And I was like, well, Leanne and I never, ever in a million years thought when we were filming that show, like, well, we're in the midst of filming that it could possibly be Real Housewives. So, yeah, we finished, we wrapped in June. Late July, I got a phone call from a conference call from both of the producers, the executive producers, and with the news. I'll never forget it because I was at my first Texas Rangers baseball game, and I had to leave the suite. And they were like, just so you know, you guys made it to Housewives. And I was like, excuse me? What? So this, it wasn't originally filmed like a true Housewives show. So this season 2 is underway. So I think everyone that is a true Housewives fan is going to be really happy about season 2.
Do you think that's why the ratings might have been lower? Is because that's not even, had you guys known, you might have, like conducted yourself as Housewives or try to play that role a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think all of those things, those few real feuds that happened is what took it to Housewives. So, yeah, but we would have probably done some things different, Yeah.
Huh. Now, I feel like I'm getting a vibe that you're saying that you're not going to be an official cast member, or is that what you're saying, or are you saying you're just doing cameos on this next season? Or
I'm not going to verbalize it because PR. I've been instructed from Bravo PR to I can't disclose a lot, but yes, you'll see me from time to time. Let's just say that.
Okay.
You'll see me from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Marie? How's your relationship with Marie?
Marie who? No, I'm joking. Like she's not on my radar anymore. Yeah, she's not on my radar. She's actually filmed with us a lot more than they showed. They cut out probably 80% of her scenes. She and her husband really did hire a social media team to harass us. So, like, Leanne and I were distraught every day because people on Twitter, and then we quickly found out that the Reyes couple had hired people to do this to us.
And why do you think they cut out so much of her scenes? They didn't like
She
the
was
character?
boring. Yeah, she was boring. I mean, you know, on these shows, you have to be kind of like, what are they? You can't have a filter, and that's why Bethany Frankel is such a great housewife, because she does not have a filter. She talks very fast, so whatever is downloaded in her brain at that moment is flying out of her mouth. You know what I mean? Marie could have said a lot of things. On paper, she seemed like she'd be a great housewife because she has a big house, she has a great career, she's got her husband's a prominent attorney and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, she wasn't doing much, she wasn't saying much, and doesn't make for good TV.
So she was just
that
boring.
I can remember. Yeah, she was just boring.
So, yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, which housewife is your least favorite?
Let's see, probably all of New Jersey. They fight so harshly and under the belt that I can't stand to see beautiful women fighting so trashy. But if I had to pick one, I think Vicki has me-itis. I mean, I know a lot of the housewives are narcissists. I mean, you kind of have to have a little bit of an inflamed ego to be able to, put your life out there on display. And I know Vicki's been the OG from the very beginning. She thinks she started the whole franchise, but she just has this, even when she's in with her kids at dinner or whatever, it's all about her all the time, 24/7. She's just not a chick I'd want to hang out with at all.
Yeah, what about she faked cancer too. Did you hear about that?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Was that pretty shocking to hear?
I think on these shows, I think that probably happens a lot, that women start figuring out how they can make their storyline bigger and better than everyone else's. And I think there's probably an element of that. Like, she wants the attention on her all the time. So I bet that was a big part of it, was, controlling, because everyone was in on it. So that whole storyline was all consuming for all the cast members, so everybody else's stories and Tamara getting baptized and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you really think back, you can't remember much about what was going on in the lives of the other women because of that cancer, you know what I mean? Megan was trying to get pregnant, you know what I mean? Like, you can remember little things, but I think Vicki wants all the attention on her all the time, so much so that you will fake cancer. And that's sad.
Yeah. Wow. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump?
I will admit that I am excited for the change. You know what? Everyone needs to quit whining and quit moaning and groaning about it. Embrace the change. The people that are against him, it's just quit whining and just sit back and watch him do it. I believe that he's actually going to do most of the things that he's saying he's going to do. And as a businessman, I look back at his history and what he's done. So he's a doer. He's an action guy. And I think that we're all ready for that. So but he's making America great again. And I want that. So I hope he does it.
Now, did you vote for him?
I did. I will admit I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But it was funny. No one was really talking about who they voted for unless you were in your inner circle. You know what I mean? Like with your family and your really close friends. And then you're like wondering, well, what if my husband doesn't agree with her husband? So it's funny when people started finally admitting, yeah, we voted for Trump. And we were watching, voting day, and I'd fallen asleep, and I woke back up, and I literally got tears in my eyes when he walked on stage with his family. And I was like, wow.
Are you for him? Like, are Mexicans coming into Texas a problem? Like, do you want to see more division from other countries?
I just feel like it's fair. You know what I mean? If you want to come to this country, you should go through the proper protocol. My husband did, and it's a long process, a tedious process. But he did it, and he's living in America, the way he should legally, and paying taxes. So. Yeah.
But do you think we have a problem with illegal immigrants in this country, and it's good that Donald Trump's trying to fix it?
Yes. I don't, in Texas, what I will say that I do know about is that women are being raped here in Texas, and these women in random places from these immigrants. So that is what scares me. That is what scares me.
Yeah. In Texas, like, are illegal Mexican immigrants, like, do they account for a lot of the crime there?
I would say probably. Again, I don't know statistics, but I just know what I hear and what I'm seeing is that with the drugs, the crime, so, you know, they're coming in and that's what's happening, you know, with just stealing, rape, and, you know, the drug problem.
Now, I know that you meet a lot of celebrities. Which celebrity have you met that you've enjoyed meeting the most?
I traveled with Julio Iglesias. Julio Iglesias was at a big event. Leanne was in this event. We were in a big international modeling competition called Looking for the Body USA, and it was held in Mexico City. And it was so big that, I mean, Julio Iglesias was there as a guest. He picked me out, and he just loved that I was part Asian because, I don't know if you go back, his first wife, I think, was either Filipino. Like, I think most of his kids are from that wife, and they're part Asian. So he just took an interest in me, and he taught me. We went to, like, these fine dining restaurants in Mexico City and taught me about fine wines, and it was really the first time that I was around. I had been around some celebrities, but, like, a celebrity that took an interest in me and, you know, like a lot of men, it was always for ulterior motive, but he was so interested in hearing about my dad's story. So, and he said, hey, has your dad been back to Japan since he was born there? And I said, no. And he said, well, I'm going to send your dad a ticket. And I'm thinking, yeah, I believe it when I see it, kind of thing. You know, people just say things. I kid you not, his manager, when I got back to Houston, called me, got my dad's name, and sent an open ticket, which open tickets are very expensive. So when he cashed in, my dad not only was able to go back to Japan, but he was able to buy a ticket for his sister. And I will never forget that as long as I live. And I actually had some friends in Texas that actually dated him. I have a friend that actually, like, dated him. He bought her a Corvette and back in the day. And, but he treated me just like a princess, like he probably treats his daughter. And then to do that for my dad was amazing. So.
And you toured with him as what? Like, what did you, as a singer or?
No, not a tour, sorry. So, I kid you not, they flew me to Trinidad and Tobago for his concert, and then in Trinidad and Tobago, he was like, why don't you get on my plane with me and go to Costa Rica, extend your stay? And I was just like, are you kidding me? So I just did this little mini tour down in South America with them, which was really cool. My first time on a huge private plane, sweet bump to myself. You know, so for an 18-year-old girl, that was huge.
Yeah. And what year was this then?
It's probably 91. So I was probably 19. 91.
Now, what celebrity have you met that you've enjoyed meeting the least?
Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, it's so funny that he's the first person that popped up. One of the first TV shows that I did, Mark Cronin, who does Bravo's Below Deck, and he's gone on to do huge things. He started my career, and he had the first show that he really sold to FX was called The X Show, and it was a men's talk show. It was like for men, kind of like The View, but for men. And Andrew Dice Clay was a guest one day, and he was exactly like you probably perceive him to be. Just kind of a, you know, pig-headed, sloppy, you know, kind of disrespectful guy. And I just remember thinking we had so many cool guests on the show, and he was just like a pig. Like, ugh. And, you know, even like sticking his tongue out at me and stuff. You know, we're on set. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did he say anything to you, or was he just slimy?
No,
what did he say?
He was slimy, kind of hitting on me, and I don't remember exactly what he said. I just know that it was disrespectful, slimy, but I do remember the tongue. I do remember his tongue.
Sticking his tongue out at you.
Yeah.
And this was at what show was? What was the show again?
It was called The X Show, and it was on FX
The X
Network. I remember Snoop Dogg was like just smoking out in the trailer, and like our show was like 2 hours late because Snoop Dogg was getting high. And we're like, I mean, so I saw so much. Andrew Dice Clay was just one of those guys. You wanted to take a shower after standing next to him. You're just like, oh.